Okay, so now this is a very important training. This is going to be Now this is a very important training. This is going to be the basis of all transformation here. Everything that you learn in this training is going to make sense as to why we operate the way that we do. Now the first thing we're going to learn are the stages of consciousness. And then we're going to learn the stages of competence. Now these two things work hand in hand. Okay, without this, you cannot have this, and without this, you cannot have this. Allah says in the Quran that He does not change the condition of the people until they change what's within themselves. Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear. So what does this tell us? Is that there is an internal state that can hold on to every single thing that we want in our life. Remember that life operates on parallels. We have one side of the magnet, then we have the other side of the magnet. If these are the things that you want in your life, in order to have these things, you need to be this guy. And this guy has to be able to handle those things, but also handle the problems that come with those things. And here's the thing is that our body doesn't want us to have these things. And this comes from the nervous system, right? But you're going to learn a lot more about that as we go into the trainings and the foundations and the success system. Now understand this is that the first level is going to be understanding consciousness. How does consciousness work? So we're going to start with the first stage, which is called unconsciousness. Now, what does this mean? Unconsciousness, what it means is that you are unaware at the fact that you are unaware. You are quite literally unaware at the fact that you're unaware. You don't know what you don't know. All right. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Okay. Now, let's say I got up. Okay. And the first step I take is my right foot. Why did I take that right foot as the first step? Why was this an automatic response? We don't know. Now, let me ask you this question. Maybe you go into the shower. Maybe your immediate thought is to yank it up all the way to hot. Why did you do that? It was automatic, right? Maybe somebody says something to you, and immediately you react. You get angry. It boils your blood. You feel your ego attack. But why did you react that way? Was it logical to react that way? Would everybody else react that way, or was it just you? Was that an automatic response? And see, we're operating on a lot of automatic responses that we are unaware about. The way that we speak, our accents, the way we act, the way we blink, the way we eat something when we feel a certain thing in our body, or we do something when we feel a certain type of emotion. It is all stored in the unconscious mind. Now understand that the unconscious mind is firing millions of neurons per second. The fact that I know where the exit is right now shows that my unconscious mind is working pretty well, because the unconscious mind works very well with our survival mechanism, which is called the nervous system, right? And I also know where the washroom is. I also know how to get out of here if I ever feel in danger, because my unconscious mind is registering everything. My unconscious mind is picking up on the walls beside me. Your unconscious mind is picking up on the walls beside you. So your unconscious mind is firing so many neurons per second. But see, then there's the conscious mind. The conscious mind isn't really firing that many neurons per second. All right, only a few neurons per second, which means that this unconscious mind of yours is the powerhouse. It is the powerhouse that stores all of your behavioral patterns, your neural pathways. I want you to think of headphones, okay? When the headphones are all wired and bunched up together, and for example, they're bunched up and you don't even know how. Do I have my headphones on? No, I don't. So if these headphones are all bunched up together, you don't even know how they got that way. You put them in your pocket and they're all bunched up together, and now you have to unwire them. It's the same thing with your brain. You have a bunch of neural pathways that are just jumbled up together, and they're creating these automatic responses that you are completely unaware of. And that's the point, is that you're unconscious to the fact that your unconscious mind even has these things to begin with. You're just living life on autopilot. You're reacting. You're not responding. You are not on top of it. And this is what it means to be at a lower conscious state. This is what it means when you see a hot girl or a hot guy or something that makes you lustful, and immediately you want to react upon it because there was a signal that made you react. The reason why you have a wealth container, all right, let's say your wealth container is $10,000 or $100,000. There's a reason why the second you surpass that wealth container, let's say it's $10,000, and let's say you have $30K in the bank and your wealth container is $10,000, which means that the default amount that you will always have in your bank account is somewhere there, $10,000. There's a reason why you'll subconsciously get rid of the money. You'll start spending on things that don't matter. You'll start giving it away. You'll maybe sabotage your business or the income stream to begin with to make sure that you lose the money and spend it all. But hey, if you go all below 10,000, now you're panicking, right? You want to get back up, but you don't even know why that is to begin with. You don't know why this is even the way that you operate. And this is the thing. That's unconsciousness. You don't know what you don't know. You're unaware to the fact that you are unaware. See, and here's the beautiful thing is that the second you start to pay attention to your unconscious mind, the second you pay attention to the fact that, hey, look, I like to hold my mic with this hand. For some reason, I just do, right? You now enter a state of conscious unconsciousness. You now start to observe the unconscious mind. You become conscious to it. These little neural pathways that are in your unconscious mind, you start to see, wait, these neural pathways are tangled up. They're operating in a certain way. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Right? And you start to observe it. Whether it's right, wrong, left, right, up, down, you notice. Okay? Now, are you doing anything about it at this point? Not really, but you're observing it. You see it. You are now aware to the fact that your unconscious has these things. Now, the beautiful thing about the conscious mind is that it's firing a few neural pathways per second. Neurons per second. So what you're perceiving here, the words that are coming out of my mouth, this whiteboard, your conscious mind is picking it up. But it's sending it to the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is now making a decision on how to perceive this information. Because again, you're only going to be as smart as the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind is the center that holds all these beliefs to begin with. All right? Now, interestingly enough, once we enter the state of conscious unconsciousness, now we're aware. But see, here we enter the most difficult part of this whole scenario, which is conscious consciousness. Oh, we'll let that go. Okay, so we have conscious consciousness. Now, what is conscious consciousness? See, I'll take this back into the step-by-step order. So we were unaware of the fact that we were unaware. All right? We had no clue that the unconscious mind even had these patterns that are making us react to life a certain way. We were living on this autopilot system. But then we're like, holy moly. We're living on autopilot. Why did I take this step first? Why did I react to my mom and dad saying those things? When my girlfriend, when my fiance or my wife said a certain thing, why did I react a certain way? Hold up. Now I'm conscious to that fact. Hold up. Was that right? Was that wrong? But why? I did it, right? See, then you enter conscious consciousness. You get to the point where you observe and now you got to fix it. But here's the situation, is that your nervous system doesn't want this to happen. Your nervous system does not want you to operate at the conscious consciousness level because it's safe where it's at. We held these beliefs. It took a long time to get to these beliefs in the unconscious mind. It took a very, very long time to get to these beliefs, right? It's safe here. We don't want to change anything, right? Because the nervous system doesn't want to go into the unfamiliar. So what happens is that the unconscious mind has these patterns. We identify those patterns after the fact that we didn't really even know what those patterns were, or we weren't even aware of those patterns. Now we know those patterns. But see, when it comes to changing those patterns, that only happens at the conscious consciousness level. But the nervous system doesn't want this to happen. So here's what's going to happen. Let's say we're going to use a wife example. Wife says something, you react, right? But hold up. You used to react. Now you're observing. You're at the conscious unconsciousness level. You observed it and you're like, this is my time to practice. This is my time to take those tangled headphones, those neural pathways that have been wired a certain way, unwire them, fix them, so that we can get to the next level, right? And if you do this conscious consciousness level enough times, where you start to observe your reality and your patterns that are keeping you stuck, you do it enough times, you make the perfect practice, guess what happens? You enter a level called unconscious consciousness. You enter the level where now this becomes second nature. So now instead of when your wife says something to you, and it's a little disrespectful, the old version of you was a little disrespectful to the old version of you because for some reason you just perceived it as disrespectful. You just reacted. Now you're aware to the fact that, wait, why did I even react? Hold up, what's going on here? And then the next time she did it, you took enough repetitive, perfect actions to hold your calm, to hold your frame, be a masculine man, let the storm go by, and then gently tell her, good girls don't do that. All right? And now, for some reason, you're a good man. You're a strong masculine man, and you do it on autopilot. Same thing with money, right? You have your bank account. Every time your bank account goes down a certain level, you start panicking. Why do you panic? Now you're observing, well, I panic. Now, the next time your bank account goes down that level, you don't panic. And you practice it enough times to the point where now you believe money's an energy. You don't really care about the number on the screen. You don't worry about the radar. You don't worry about the logic. You just know who it's coming from. And if you practice that enough times, then you enter a state of unconscious consciousness. It becomes second nature to you, right? And that's where you build peace. That's where you clear the energy field, right? But you have to do enough work here to get here. But you can't do the work here until you identify what's going in here. Does that make sense? Okay, make sure the camera's still rolling. All right, camera's still rolling. Now, here's the beautiful thing about this, is that consciousness works hand in hand with competence. You need consciousness and you need competence because look, this, my friend, is the 4D. This is the 4D. But this, my friend, helps you apply it in the 3D. Now, what are the difference between the two? All right, the 3D is this watch. The 4D is the thoughts that thought of this watch. We can take it even a step further. The 3D is me having this watch. The 4D is me manifesting and visualizing a life with this watch and having the certainty that this watch is mine, and having the certainty in the right time and place this watch is going to be on my wrist. So I'm going to get to wear it on this video. This is my dream watch. Actually, this is a stepping stone to my dream watch. My dream watch is a watch that's double the worth of this one. This one's 40K. My dream watch is 100K, right? This one's the white gold, right? Yeah, stuck for that, whatever. But the one I want is platinum. All right, now I should probably get that one, but there's a few other ones I like that I might get before I get that one, inshallah. All right. Anyways, the point is that I'm getting at is that this is the 3D. The thought of this was the 4D. This is the 4D. This is the 3D. Now understand this. All right, we're gonna get to this. The first level in the 3D is unconscious incompetence. You do not know what you do not know. All right? You do not know what you do not know. Simple. All right? To think that you know everything, you really don't know. All right? If you're searching for answers, you don't know. And the more you know, you realize that you don't know. And the more you know, you realize that you don't know, then you know who knows, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the only one that knows. All right? And that's where you can actually surrender to the 40. All right? Where you're like, you know what? I don't know anything. And therefore, I'm going to kill the logic. But see, once you realize that, you start to enter here. You start to realize what you don't know. Okay? So for example, let's say that my job was to become a good businessman, to hold the identity, let's say, of a $100 million businessman, $100 million entrepreneur. So there's a lot of patterns here that are stopping me from being the $100 million entrepreneur. And then I become aware of the patterns, then I start applying the new patterns and fixing the old patterns to the point where it becomes second nature. But I also need the skills of a $100 million businessman, all right? And a $100 million businessman does things a certain way. So now you realize that you don't know how a $100 million businessman operates, how he plays in the 3D. At this point, I don't be touching a laptop. I don't touch anything, all right? I just make phone calls all day. I'm just moving all day. I don't even drive cars. I get driven because I'm not even thinking about being a $100 million businessman. I'm thinking about being a $1 billion businessman. And therefore, I'm starting to work on this level as a billionaire. And now I'm starting to develop the skills as a billionaire. And therefore, I didn't realize that billionaires, they don't really do a lot of work inside the business. They're just making plays all day. They're just connecting with people all day. Business is people for the billionaires. They know that they don't know. All right. And therefore, they go find the people that know because they know who's going to get them the people. All right. And this is the Muslim way. This is the believer way. So now you don't know what you don't know. All right. I hope this is starting to make sense. I'm saying a lot of things that are repetitive here, but you have to really pay attention to what I'm saying. So you don't know that you don't know. You don't know that you don't know the skill. Okay. Now you're aware to the fact that you don't know the skill. Okay. You don't know how to make a deal happen. You don't know how to negotiate, let's say. Now you know that you don't know how to negotiate. You don't know how to get a deal going in minutes, in hours, in seconds. And for the people who are in this group chat who are my business partners, you know I can get a deal done in minutes because I've trained this skill. But it wasn't always like this. There was a time where I used to think a lot before even making one phone call. Maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe even a whole year. I would think because my nervous system would collapse. And here's the thing. This is where we're really going to start having this all click together. Okay? This is going to click together when you realize that you didn't know that you didn't know, but now you know that you don't know. Well, guess what? You have to find out how to know, right? And when you find out how to know, you have to practice it enough times, all right, in order to know. But that also means you have to find the people who know it. Okay, and this is why mentors are very, very important, right? This is why I don't trust anybody who doesn't have a mentor, is because in order to get to this level, all right, of conscious incompetence to conscious competence, you have to fill the gap. And the gap here is you need to find somebody who knows. You need to find the information, the book, the person, and you have to surrender to that. But even most importantly, you surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that Allah is going to be the one to find it for you. Okay? And this is where we also enter the 40, is that yes, you can go search, but you can be pushing it away. But when you say, Ya Allah, I realize that I don't know what I don't know. And therefore, now I know that I don't know, but I know that you know, so therefore find me somebody that knows so I can learn it from them. For example, I need to learn some more Islamic information that backs up my philosophy, right? Alhamdulillah, I've been gifted in this area, but I need to know the Islamic terminology to become more OP. Let's say that's, for lack of better words, more OP, powered up, all right? So that my skill set is greater, and therefore I asked Allah, and then Allah sent me Sheikh Rasul, who's in the group, by the way, okay? And now I'm learning from Sheikh Rasul the Islamic things. He taught me some good words, right? Like akhid bil asbab, right? Wow, I did not know that terminology before, but now I'm trying to apply it. And you see how I struggled to say that? I'm operating in conscious competence. I found the mentor to teach me these things, and now I'm applying it. And I'm applying it enough times to the point where I know. It's the same thing with mastering a surah or mastering any skill, a sales call, delivery, driving a car, anything. So this is very, very important to understand, is that you need to rely upon Allah to find out how you are going to get to this level. Okay, and then once you practice enough on this level and you do things at this level, which, by the way, your nervous system doesn't want you to operate on this level. Your nervous system doesn't want you to take the action. Your nervous system doesn't want you to go and take the unknown action, all right? It is so scared of the unfamiliar because the nervous system is a survival mechanism, right? The nervous system doesn't want you to go practice something new. It doesn't want you to go find a mentor and surrender your ego. You know, there's a lot of very, very successful people that learn from me. And one of the first things that we talk about is, look, you're a successful guy. But when we're in this mentorship session, you're my student and I'm your mentor. You got to learn how to surrender, because I surrender to my mentors. I really do. Okay? So once you do that, you practice enough times to the point where it becomes unconscious competence. You master the skill. And the best way I could articulate this to you is you know those vendors, let's say we go to, Pakistan, India, third world countries, and they're like moving through their food areas, and they can boom, 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 and it's like, wow, how are they doing that? Why are they so good at it? It's like they're not even looking. Well, at one point they had no idea. At one point they had no idea what that skill even was. They didn't even know that it even existed. And then they got to a point where they realized that the skill existed. But then they had to learn from somebody, right? Maybe it was a YouTube video, maybe it was a mentor, maybe it was a book, but they had to learn from somebody. Allah sent them that somebody, and therefore they practice it. Perfect practice, not imperfect practice. This is why it's important to have Allah, because Allah is going to give you the right person, not the one that you're searching for, the right one for you. And you practice it enough times to the point where it becomes unconscious competence. It's second nature to you. Same thing with driving a car. You moved to a new house. You had no idea how to get to the gym. You didn't even know that you didn't know how to get to the gym. And therefore, you now became aware to the fact that you didn't know how to get to the gym. So then you searched up how to get to the gym from your house. You saw the map directions, and then you went into conscious competence. You drove, following a map, to the gym and back enough times to the point where now you don't even think about it. Sometimes you're just thinking random thoughts, and you get to the gym, and sometimes you're thinking random thoughts, and you get home without even looking at a map. All right, because it's second nature to you. These laws are set in stone. But here's the issue with this, is that the nervous system is going to attack you here, and the nervous system is going to attack you here. And this is why a big part of this system is to beat the nervous system, because the nervous system is also what shaitan attacks to keep you procrastinating, to keep you from taking no action, the inaction, all right? And the nervous system is either hypersensitive because of flawed sexual energy and blockages in the sexual energy, too much logic, all right, a bad gut, okay? And If the nervous system is weak, then you're not going to take action. If the nervous system is hypersensitive, then you're not going to take action. And in this system, in this success system, I'm going to teach you how to master both. All right? Anyways, so this lesson is very important for the foundation. Me as your mentor, what I do is I help you at the unconsciousness level to help you identify what's in the unconscious mind. Then I help you beat your nervous system to take enough actions in the conscious consciousness level until it becomes unconscious consciousness. And then I do the same here. I tell you what you don't know, all right? Then I make you aware of the fact that you don't know, and then I help you beat your nervous system to practice what you don't know until it becomes second nature. And this is how a lot of my students have went from, quite literally, in bad places in their life to quantum leaps. And that's through the mercy of Allah.